Okay.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Gotta love days like this, Sam Flannel. You know what? And we'll get into it when Lucas he arrives. He's trying to find a parking spot right now. You know what? And I'll just say this because JB's holding it down in the TD booth for us for the time being until Lucas gets in the studio. But you know what, though? This guy, Lucas, filled in yesterday on the heavyweights. I think his ego's getting big now. All right? And listen, I know it's a lot coming from me, right? I'm Hollywood. But this guy fills in on heavyweights, and for the first time and probably forever, he's late. But he's coming in. Sorry for the delayed start. We got a packed show for you guys planned for today. A lot of updates regarding some players in the Detroit Lions. A big trade in the NFC North, which we'll get to in a little bit. 8:15, we'll talk about C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Tracy Walker filling in for him. Tracy spoke on it in the locker room yesterday. We got some videos courtesy of our beat reporter, Matt Broder, excuse me, and he kind of explained how he's been ready and been ready to go really since he came back from his injury. So exciting. We're going to talk about that at 8:15. C.J. Gardner-Johnson also not ruled out the entire season. He was put on IR, but I didn't hear anything about surgery. I didn't hear anything about season ending. So is there a chance? With that one extra game in the NFL, these things become more and more probable. 8:30, we'll talk about Aleem McNeil and Jahmyr Gibbs commenting on Bijan Robinson. We'll all have a discussion. Do you have faith that this Lions defensive front can slow down the run game of the Falcons? And then 8:45, we'll talk about Aiden Hutchinson because, again, he's leading the NFL right now in pressures, which is big time. Doesn't have any sacks. That's what matters. But also, pressures are just as important, and he's leading the NFL in that, tied actually with T.J. Watt, who's my Defensive Player of the Year. So we'll get to that at 8:45. And then 9 o'clock, we're going to have a Jared Goff discussion because, you know what, and people at this network, all right, and I'm not calling anybody out. I love you, Easy. I do. But anybody that actually thinks that last Sunday was Jared Goff's fault, what are you doing? And we'll talk about that at 9 o'clock because Jared Goff is coming up in some of these PFF rankings and just in top quarterback play so far in the NFL. He's up there in a lot of different categories, top 5 in multiple categories. We'll talk about Jared at 9 o'clock. And then 9:16, we'll talk about the Chicago Bears because I don't know what the hell's going on with the Bears. I don't. And at first, it seemed to be something really bad, and then Ian Rappaport cleared it up and was like, no, that's not true, and then he kind of dialed it back. But also Justin Fields commented on coaching and then reversed his statements afterwards. So we'll talk about that at 9:16, and of course 9:30 we'll preview tonight's game, the 49ers taking on the New York Giants, and I got to get a parlay in, so I got to talk to my guy Booner about that. But Sam Flannel, how you doing this morning?
You know, I'm doing all right. It definitely feels better, even though this week has been a little bit rough as a Lions fan coming off of that loss, seeing what's going down in Chicago. I know we're going to get into it more later, but is there an actual dumpster fire going on, and can we just replace the Chicago Bears logo with that? Because they are terrible. Their DC is out for reasons. Justin Fields looks like he still can't play quarterback, and he's questioning the coaching. It is just, you just hate to see it, right? You just hate to see it.
No, I do. And also, some of the updated practice attendance, because I want to go through it. Players that didn't practice yesterday: David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Taylor Decker, Vaitai, Emmanuel Mosley, and Kirby Joseph did not practice yesterday. I would not panic for a lot of those guys. David Montgomery's currently, as of right now, day-to-day. That's what they have him listed at. I don't know if that's strategic because they are moving guys around in that running back room, so that is concerning. You wouldn't be doing that if you had confidence that David Montgomery would be playing this week. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a toe injury, and if you guys haven't listened to the podcast, the St. Brown Brothers podcast, he kind of it's two different perspectives, because when people saw he didn't practice, everyone's like, oh, Amon-Ra St. Brown might not play this week. But if you go watch the St. Brown the Brothers podcast, and he talked about it, St. Brown was like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I finished the game, I'm fine. He goes, I'm not going to speak on too much because I'll let Dan do that. But St. Brown saying, I finished the game, didn't I? Like, he'll play. They're just giving him a day off. So I have confidence he'll be playing. Taylor Decker, though, is the interesting one, because he could go either way right now. He's out of practice again. He was out of practice all last week. with that ankle injury, left in a boot after Kansas City. That one I'm a little concerned about. I don't know if he'll be available, but Vaitai, note he's not playing. Graham Glasgow is probably filling in for him. And then Emmanuel Mosley, the man we all been waiting for. Hopefully he could play, but it doesn't look like it right now. And then Kirby Joseph being out, I think that's also precautionary. So you're looking at a potential multiple starters on both offense and defense. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, James Houston being out for this week. Still confident, though, Sam Flannel.
I mean, whether it's precautionary or not.
This is the NFL. Welcome to the NFL.
I understand that, but when you see a list like that, and you see Amon-Ra St. Brown on it, you see Kirby Joseph, you see Taylor Decker, who hasn't played, you see Emmanuel Mosley, who hasn't played the whole damn season yet, and they're still not practicing, I would say there's definitely some cause for pause, along with, of course, Vaitai, who's definitely going to be out. C.J. Gardner-Johnson might be out for this season, and James Houston, who's going to be out probably for a couple of months at best. So that's that is, I would say, my concern level. Maybe, I mean, I get it. There's context with Amon-Ra St. Brown and with Kirby Joseph. It might just be more precautionary. But still, you never like to see a list that is that long, especially considering the fact that I'm looking over, and we'll get into this more maybe on today's show or tomorrow. The Atlanta Falcons are looking pretty damn healthy at this point. I don't really see a whole lot in their injury report.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the NFL, right? You got to overcome adversity. You're going to have injuries. This is why you add depth in the offseason. Lions did a pretty good job of that. Now, the question is who steps up. Dan mentioned that you need someone to step up, and I'm curious who does it now, especially in that secondary. Tracy Walker being one of those guys. We'll talk about him in a little bit here, but Lucas Klotz is with us now.
How we doing, fellas?
I don't know if you missed what I said earlier. It just seemed like, you fill in for the heavyweights, and the next day you're like,
listen,
I do what I want.
It could seem that way, but my body was not waking up this morning. I don't know what happened. I did a little late night workout. By the way, scored some digits.
Hey.
My fitness was essential at Planet Fitness last night. I got some digits, but dude, I did like 3.5 miles on the. I did a little 5K on the treadmill, and then I worked out for like an hour and a half straight. I went home. Me and Easy broke into some dispo, and then my body was just like, "Yeah, you're not waking up at 6:15 today, partner. It ain't happening."
Yeah.
And I woke up. Like, oh shit! And I was like, Jeff.
Yeah, no.
I pulled a Hollywood.
No.
Hey,
no.
in all my days of working here, first day being late. First day.
I could count on.
I gotta hold the accountability.
I could count on one hand how many shows I've missed here, like that. So listen, Hollywood, all that.
I can count on one finger.
Well, you've been here for like 1/3 of the time I have, so like hopefully that is true.
Valid point.
So, but anyway, regardless, plenty to get to. Lucas, we got to get through some of those videos too that Matt Broder sent us, and we'll do that next break because C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Tracy Walker spoke on him. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes because I'm excited, and I think people are quick to forget about Tracy. He might not be the type of playmaker as in turning the ball over that C.J. is. Obviously, C.J. led the league in interceptions despite not playing a whole season. But Tracy Walker's a hell of a tackler. He's someone you can count on. You can count on him to be in the right position, and he's a hell of a leader too. So I think people are sleeping on Tracy a little bit. Excited to see him this week against the Falcons. We'll talk about him more in depth here. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at SMA, the sports marketing agency. Help spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, this is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you are struggling, tell them to head to thesportsma.com for more information.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer, Academy of Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new field house. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, learning street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Houghton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
Join Woodward Sports and Long Drink live this Sunday for the official Lions VIP tailgate party. It's at Eastern Market in Shed number 5, and it is going to be a bash. Starting at 9:30 a.m. until game time, the official Lions tailgate is back and better than ever. How would you like to pregame it with Woodward Sports and be treated like a VIP? Food, beverages, and entertainment all included. Get your tickets online at bullseyeeventgroup.com or win some from Woodward Sports today. Just subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and direct message Lions VIP.
Tracy Walker, man. It seems like he's like the one sibling that people just kind of forget about. You know, he's like the middle child. It's like, oh yeah, like I am, essentially. It's like, oh yeah, this guy's here, but you know, you got the youngest, you got the oldest. Tracy Walker's still here. He's still present. He's still in your secondary. And you said this yesterday, Lucas, and I want to give you credit here. He's the best backup safety in the NFL.
He is. He would start on every other NFC North team right now.
Yeah, he would. That's actually a great point. And I want to bring up that because Tracy Walker spoke on kind of losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson and his mindset now going forward, because people that don't know, this upcoming week would be a 1 year exactly, or 1 year and 1 day, whatever it is, from when he tore his Achilles. Listen to him speak in the locker room.
Definitely, it's a tough situation. Losing CJ, he definitely brought a different aspect to our team. His energy, his enthusiasm is definitely going to be missed. Like I said, he was definitely a great player for us. For me, I just look at it as a great opportunity for me to come back. Considering I'm coming back from my injury, like I said, it's a special week for me, considering the week it's the same week I tore my Achilles. So it's such a blessing for me, and I'm just looking at it just to capitalize on the opportunity right now.
There you go, Tracy Walker commenting on C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And listen, you can't kind of underestimate the loss of a guy like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the energy he brings. Like, there's so many things besides just the player he is. But the benefit is, for the Lions, you increased your depth in the secondary, something they didn't have last year. So, in a way, they were prepared for this, Sam Flannel, but it still stinks. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100. No, it 100% still does. And that's one of the reasons why we said the depth on the secondary with the Lions is as good as anybody's in the NFL, because Tracy Walker was basically out of the rotation. And he's Tracy Walker. He's a guy who's been a starter in this league. I believe he led the team in tackles in 2021. In 2019, he probably had his best year where it looked like he was going to maybe become a Pro Bowl safety. That didn't quite happen, but still, Tracy Walker, having him back there is very, very comforting, at least that the secondary should be fine. I would say, though, the one thing that I'm concerned with when it comes to Tracy Walker, and I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think about it, is it concerning that coming off of an Achilles injury, that basically in the first couple of games he didn't play really at all? He was basically, I wouldn't say bench, that sounds kind of disrespectful, but he was definitely behind Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the depth chart, to where he wasn't even really rotating in. Is that concerning moving forward?
I wouldn't say it is, because you got to think too with the depth they have. I mean, you have CJ, they have to play him,
sure.
And then they have Kirby, have to play him. I think Tracy kind of got squeezed out, but that's, if anything, that's a compliment of the Lions, because they have a lot of depth in their secondary. I think it's more on just the depth than it is Tracy individually, because they don't have a problem sticking Tracy in there now, which they have to. But I wouldn't put that on Tracy, if that makes sense. What about you guys, JB, Lucas?
Go ahead, JB. If you got some, I'll follow it up.
Oh no, go ahead.
All right. So, are we talking concerned as far as like Tracy with his injury returning, or Tracy being back on the field?
I would say, is there going to be like a dip in production in terms of, like, you know, the secondary as a whole?
Maybe a tad, but I don't expect anything, because Tracy Walker, I understand he's coming off an injury, but the thing that's gonna like kind of help that is he's had so many reps on the field right away with this Detroit Lions team. I understand it hasn't always been with Aaron Glenn, but he's been in the system for a while. Not to mention the thing that people aren't taking for granted, the people that are in the backfield, that safety, that secondary. It's much better than what he had before. So Tracy Walker, he's gonna be playing a very similar role, but he's not gonna be asked to do as much, because think. They had Quandre Diggs for a little bit, but after Quandre Diggs got traded, when Tracy, I'm talking about the beginning of his career, what other safeties he had to help him? What other corners did he have to help him? I understand Darius Slay was there for a second too, but then he got traded away.
Yeah.
So Tracy was kind of running like a one-man show there. Now there's multiple guys that can help him out. He's a veteran. He knows in what spots to be in. And he's got Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph to help him out. So I'm not worried. Could we see a slight dip in production statistically? Maybe. But again, when it comes to Tracy Walker being in the box, being a safety that can bring down the running back or the tight end with the first tackle, that's something he can do. When you're playing the Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion, you got Bijan Robinson, you got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Tyler Algier. The most crucial thing is making that first tackle, and that's something that I have full faith in Tracy Walker doing. So I'm really not that concerned. And
I agree with this comment, too. I mean, Steve Lehman says the secondary is still better than last season. Like, it is. Yeah. And Tracy Walker had a full season with Aaron Glenn and then got injured the following season. So he's familiar with this system. He's familiar with what AG expects out of him. Now, the other thing, Walker played in the preseason a little bit, so he got a little bit of action. I know it's been a while because he's been dealing with it, coming back from the Achilles injury, so you can maybe make that argument, a little bit of rust, going into game action. But yeah, I would say if it's more of a compliment that Tracy, you have a guy like Tracy more than it's kind of a shade at Tracy. Like the fact that he hasn't been playing, it's like, is Tracy good? Like, no, he's good, but CJ's just better. Like, the thing they'll miss, and I'll be consistent with this, is the ball hawk of CJ Gardner-Johnson, what he brings turning the ball over. Tracy hasn't really shown that in his career, but that's why you have Kirby. So if I had to say, that's probably what they'll miss, but I don't think there'll be too much of a drop-off having Tracy in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the type of injury that's good. I mean, if CJ Gardner-Johnson were playing for another team where the backup was basically like such and such team's version of Will Harris, then maybe they would be conceding. Right.
That was literally what I was going to bring up. It's like the Detroit Lions could have Will Harris back there at safety right now, but they have Tracy Walker. Yep. So I think as much as that CJ Gardner-Johnson injury was just more of like a huge gut punch, like the fact that we have Tracy Walker, the season is still very much, in my opinion, still on track for where you want it, if that makes sense. I don't think if you lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson, you don't have anybody else back there, I think, okay, now you got to look around. You're like, God damn it. In the NFL, especially in the NFC, with the offenses that are in this division, it would be worrisome if you didn't have another safety back there. But thank God we have Tracy.
And it's even more of a blessing because you signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson to play in the slot, and then guess what? Brian Branch you drafted.
Yeah.
And he's been playing in the slot. So instead of now with CJ out, you're like, who's going to play in this? You already have a guy playing in the slot. So you just need someone to play safety, which Tracy Walker's been doing. He's played in the box for his entire time with AG. He's a hell of a tackler. Like, I think the benefit is now drafting Brian Branch. It'll be beneficial. But now my question is, and this is what I'm more concerned about, if we're talking the secondary, and John McAroon put this in the chat too. He said Glover Quinn said team still doesn't have a true number one cornerback, and Jerry Jacobs looks like a safety to him. Branch has given up a TD in the first couple of games too. Defense has to step up. I agree with him. Although I think Cam Sutton's been solid. Besides the PI call, I mean, you haven't heard anything about him, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, Cam Sutton. I have faith in.
He's been doing his job. My concern is, and this isn't a shot at Jerry Jacobs, but that number 2 corner spot.
Oh yeah,
like that's still my concern. Like I got Brian in the slot, but I need Emmanuel Mosley back. Like that's my concern if I had to pick one of the secondary, not Tracy or Kirby. Those guys will be fine.
No, that is an excellent point because I was just about to bring it up. It's more obviously Tracy Walker and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Tracy Walker is not a huge drop-off because he is a starting level safety, just happened to be a backup in this system. But Tracy and CJ Gardner-Johnson and Emmanuel Mosley being out for potentially this game, that is something that I would say is a little bit concerning because Jerry Jacobs, as much as we like him, as much as we appreciate what he did last year, that passer rating allowed number is looking a little bit too much like last year's Ermanni or Warrior, and I would say that is a little bit concerning. I'm not saying he's been as bad. I'm not saying it's all been his fault, but with Emmanuel Mosley and CJ Gardner-Johnson being out in conjunction, probably for this game, and definitely CJ Gardner-Johnson moving forward, I'd say that's where my antennas are up a little bit because we're talking about if you're not going to play Jerry Jacobs, who else are you going to put out there? Maybe Stephen Gilmore, maybe give him a little bit of run, but Stephen Gilmore, with all due respect to him, he had a damn good preseason. He's not somebody who you want starting at corner right now for the Detroit Lions. You want Emmanuel Mosley and Cam Sutton. You want your revamped secondary as it was meant to be, and it seems like for this year, you're probably not going to get it at all. I'm not trying to be gloom and doom. I'm just saying, like that's the reality of the situation. That's what I was kind of thinking as I was talking. It's like this revamped secondary is never going to play a game together in full.
Well, and this is why what Dan said yesterday is very interesting. And Dave L says, thank God they drafted Branch. I'm with you, Dave. The other part of it, and Dan said this yesterday, and Woodward Sports put a graphic out on Twitter for it as well. And Dan mentioned it. He said, I certainly think there's a chance we get him back. He's on IR for talking about CJ Gardner-Johnson. That's great news because I'm telling you one thing. If you want a guy back for the postseason or towards the end of the season, it's that dude. And again, the problem is staying afloat and trying to win your division and trying to make the playoffs without him, but they certainly can do that with who they have in-house. You're basically just getting a free a free agent at the end of the season, just dropping CJ on the team if he can come back. Now that's the problem. Booner brought up TJ Watt. He tore his pec and he came back, but TJ Watt's a different. I mean, that dude's he's a freak, different man, different animal. I'm curious if CJ can do the same thing. If he returns, man, then all this worrying might be for nothing, but you're going to have a chunk of games without him. So I'm curious how this defense plays moving forward, because you only have a 2-game sample size. One game with a healthy team, they look good. The second game, with a lot of injuries for whatever reason, a very physical game. You lost a lot of players. I'm curious what the defense looks like moving forward, because I said this yesterday. They still have more talent than they had last year on defense, and guys are older, and they looked good. They looked great in the second half. So there's no excuses this week against Atlanta.
No, you still got to win these games, and I think that the Lions still have enough, actually playing in these games, that they are going to be able to tread water, and even more than tread water, assuming that they get healthier as the season goes on. All the goals that they want are still in front of them. It's just right now we're kind of coming to terms with, man, we're going to be without a lot of starters. We're going to be without some players that we thought would be heavy contributors to a team that we thought could potentially even go to the NFC Championship game. I'm not saying those goals are dead, but you mentioned something. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I'm not going to necessarily count on him coming back even for the playoffs, but wouldn't that be nice? Somebody who last year played in some pretty damn big playoff games, including the Super Bowl, and he looked pretty good for portions of the game. He had that huge hit on Isaiah Pacheco. They lost, and the defense gave up a lot of points, but still, CJ Gardner-Johnson is somebody that you definitely want, because with all due respect to Tracy Walker, he's really never played in any big games whatsoever. I mean, it's not his fault. The Lions have just been bad.
But that's a great point.
Yeah.
Like, CJ Gardner-Johnson's battle-tested. And I'm with you. You don't want to count on him being back, but again, the fact that door's still open, it's great to hear. You're saying there's a chance. JB, your confidence level in Tracy Walker, what do you think?
I mean, as you guys said, I think there'll be a slight dip in the Lions defense, but I don't think it's going to be extremely bad as, what some people might be thinking. I just think it's going to take him a second to, get his footing right out there on the field, adjust with everyone that he's around as well too. But I still think he's going to come with that fight and that dog energy, because we've seen this guy working out, trying to get back to where he was during this whole offseason, and he just wants to be out there and play with this guy, the brothers that he has out there. So I think it'll be a slight dip, but nothing extreme, nothing major. Like, he's excited to be out here and be back on the field. So they're going to bring it. Yeah,
and you think about it too. CJ Gardner-Johnson, he returned. He played the rest of that game. So there's that. If you want every little ounce of optimism, there's another little drop for you. Like, CJ played the rest of that football game. So if anything, we'll see how it trends. Again, it's great news that he's not officially ruled out for the season. Same with Houston. He said he might be out for the season, James Houston, which we'll get to that later in the show, because Aiden Hudson needs some help. And I don't know if that's through a trade, free agency, or the guys you currently have, which Brad Holmes bet on, to step up. That's part of it, and we'll get to that conversation a little later. I want to go to break. When we get back, we'll talk about Aleem McNeil, speaking of the defensive line, and then Jahmyr Gibbs as well. They both commented on Bijan Robinson. I want everybody's confidence level in the room, and you guys in the chat. You believe the Lions can slow down this rushing attack. Right now, the Lions are a top 10 team against the run currently in the NFL. It's a small sample size, but dating back to the end of last year, for the most part, second half of the season, besides the Carolina game, they were solid against the run. You got confidence this week against the Falcons. We'll answer that question when we come back. But first, I got to tell you about our friends from Randy Wise, because, again, what could be better than watching celebrities like Braylon or DMAC play golf? Playing golf yourself and be treated like a celebrity. That's what. Stop in any Randy Wise dealership for your chance to golf like a celebrity. VIP transportation, free golf to one of Michigan's best tracks, and a tasty steak after compliments of Fairway Packet. Make the wise decision and get to Randy Wise today for your chance to win.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. So register today at OutdoorEquipCo.com, and even you could have DMAC on your landscaping crew.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests, for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
How would you like to win a 100K Vegas getaway? Take your closest friends and live it up in a city that never sleeps. It's the Centron Energy Drink It and Live It sweepstakes. Purchase a 24-pack today and enter to win the 100K Vegas getaway at drinkcentron.com/Vegas. Buy Centron at your local Myers store. Centron, the healthier energy drink with great taste and the choice of people who desire to look good, feel great, and be the best version of themselves at drinkcentron.com/Vegas.
Yeah, of course. I'm always motivated to be the best player I can be. So.
Excited about a potential fourth opportunity too. I know we talked about that last week a little bit too, but David with obviously the Redwings and I think they're getting more excited about that opportunity to play a little bit more, show a little bit more.
Yeah. You always get that excited when you get to play some more and touch the ball some more. So I'll be pretty excited about that.
And there you have it. Jahmyr Gibbs speaking on Bijan Robinson. We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. If you could do us a favor, hit the like button. It supports us. It supports the network as well, so we much appreciate you for doing that. Again, Aleem McNeil also spoke on Bijan Robinson. I'll read his quote here as per Eric Woodward. And then, of course, you heard Jahmyr there. And Jahmyr don't want no smoke. I mean, he's a great guy. Him and Bijan are friends. They tried to kind of set him up there, like, media being media. Like, hey, are you going to be the best rookie out there on Sunday? Like, dude, he's... As much as people want Jahmyr to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to dominate out there, it's just not him. That's not the type of personality he is. It reminds me a little of DeAndre last year. Like, DeAndre was just kind of quiet, just kind of kept to himself, which is fine. If you can play football and be elite, I'm cool with that. I don't give a damn what kind of personality you have. Now, Aleem McNeil also spoke on Bijan. And, quote, he says... Bijan Robinson is impressive and has shades of other running backs that you've watched in the past. It's going to be somebody I like to watch and not play against. I would say that, he said. But when we play this week, it's going to be a challenge for sure. And then, of course, you guys hear Jahmyr Gibbs there speaking on Bijan. My question to everybody is your confidence level in the Lions this week, because Atlanta is an interesting team because they run the damn football. And you could argue they have the best backfield in the NFL. I would probably give that edge to the Jets, but it doesn't matter what team you choose to me. I mean, you can make the argument for Atlanta. You got a mobile quarterback, too. Desmond Ridder ran 10 times last week, and we know the Lions struggle stopping a quarterback who is mobile. The question I have is, with this defensive line, as much as we can criticize them for not creating consistent pressure, besides Aiden Hutchinson, one thing I can say, Sam Flannel, is they've been pretty good against the run.
Well, that's the weird thing about the Detroit Lions, especially in the last game. For the most part, Benito Jones, Aleem McNeil, and Levi Onwuzurike, especially when it comes to getting pass rush, were morbid in that game. They were as bad as you can possibly be. But the Lions, despite not having a great defensive performance overall last week against Seattle, they definitely had a good one at Kansas City. Despite all of that, the Detroit Lions have stopped the run pretty damn effectively. They're 10th in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game, which I would say is pretty impressive up to this point. They held Isaiah Pacheco in check. They held him to 8 carries for 23 yards. And then the next week, they held Kenneth Walker to 17 carries for 43 yards. And if you want some context to that, in Pacheco's game against Jacksonville, he got 70 on 5.8 yards per carry. In Kenneth Walker's game against the Rams, he got 64 on 5.3 yards per carry. So it looks like Detroit is where running back good games go to die, right? That's what's going to happen for Bijan and Tyler Algier. Most definitely, that is what is going to happen. No, I'm just kidding. But I will say this, though. The Detroit Lions, they have not run into a force quite like the Atlanta Falcons running game quite just yet, especially led by one Bijan Robinson, one of my favorite players in the NFL. Yes, I said it. I love me some Bijan Robinson, who is second in the NFL in rushing yards with 180. And he is also, believe it or not, third amongst running backs in receiving yards with 75. And not to be outdone, maybe a little bit outdone, but still, Tyler Algier is still there too. And he is 15th in the NFL in rushing yards with 123. And overall, Atlanta has the 4th ranked rushing attack when it comes to yards per game. And it's not just that with the Atlanta Falcons. I want to really illustrate how good their running game is. Jake Matthews, their tackle, better run blocker than pass blocker. Chris Lindstrom, their guard, probably the best run blocking guard in the league. You got Caleb McGarry, their other guard on the other side. Oh, he might be the tackle. He's the tackle. One of the best run-blocking tackles in the league. He's a better run blocker than pass blocker. And then their center, Drew Dahlman, is a better run blocker than pass blocker. And Arthur Smith is a coach that very, very famously has a damn good running scheme that he sets up. And he really has the philosophy is we're going to kill you with running the football. So my point is that the Atlanta Falcons are, I would say, the one team in the NFL right now that is basically bred, drafted, developed to run the football and dominate, and that is what they've basically done, and that is what they have done the first couple of games. And the Detroit Lions, they have to be wary. Even though they have stopped the run, they've been very, very good against the run. This is a different kind of scheme, because when you look at the Seattle Seahawks, do you think it hurt their run game that both of their tackles were out and Evan Brown was out? I would say that it did. And the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, they've got a couple of good offensive linemen as well, but it's not the type of run-blocking offensive line and scheme that the Atlanta Falcons have. So am I worried that the Detroit Lions could get gashed by the Atlanta Falcons in this game? Hell yeah, I am, because Ali McNeil, Benito Jones, and Levi Onwuzurike are on your defensive line. And the way that they played last week overall was just not acceptable.
My worry is this, right? And we've seen, am I confident that they can at least contain this rushing attack? I'm not saying stop, because Bijan Robinson right now in 2 games is averaging 6.2 yards per carry. Like, it's going to be hard to stop this man. But what I will say is this. My concern is really Atlanta, their offense, keeping our offense off the field. Time of possession for this Falcons team, what they can do running the football. I'm telling you, man, they can control the clock, especially in a game if you're giving them short field. That's my concern as well, because Dan Campbell, again, not trying to come after him or anything like that, because I think for the most part we've been happy with when he's went for it versus when he hasn't went for it. But there has been times where you're giving these teams shorter fields. And if you got an offense with Desmond Ridder, who isn't a world beater, you want to make him go down the entire field on you with that rushing attack. Now, I got confidence they can at least contain these dudes to some extent. I mean, you're going to need a big game on Ali McNeil. He did it last year against Saquon. You're going to need one of those games. Like, we have yet to see Ali McNeil really show up to the party yet, like we all kind of predicted he would this year. Levi Onwuzurike's back. I know you've got other options too for the guys in the middle, Broderick Martin, who you drafted this year. But you got to get the worst case for the Lions here is for the Atlanta Falcons to just dominate time of possession, keep the Lions offense off the field, wear the Lions defense out, and go on these long drives to score. That is not what you want from the Falcons there, Lucas, because then if your offense isn't getting on the field and you don't have time of possession, that's a problem. Because we know this Lions offense can score, but if they don't have the football, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I mean, there's got to be some concern, especially when you have a 2-0 Atlanta team. But the thing that makes me confident, and I think all of us can agree, this Detroit Lions team, when they play at their best is when their back is against the wall. When they realize that, oh shit, this is on us. What happened last week, I know Lions are 1-1 right now in week 3 of the NFL season, but if you just take a quick scope out, that Seattle Seahawks team coming into the season was favored to compete against the San Francisco 49ers to win the NFC West. They dropped a bomb week 1 against Sean McVay and the LA Rams. That happens in the NFL. Good teams lose to lesser teams. When you get out coached, that's what happened. We saw it last week with Pete Carroll and Dan Campbell. So what I'm saying is, yes, be concerned, but at the same time, this Lions team, I think, is going to come out ready to play.
Yeah.
Everything that you guys said about what they need to do is spot on. They need to rule the time of possession. They need to make the tackles and contain Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. But I think they're capable of doing all that. Mm-hmm. What it comes down to, in my opinion, is making sure that the Detroit Lions do not let the Detroit Lions be the reason Atlanta Falcons start this offensive juggernaut. And now that the play action game's opening up, Desmond Ridder can just dink and dunk down the field. Just contain everything. Just give what is taken to you, and when there's a shot, take the shot. And when there's second half adjustments that need to be made on the defensive side of the ball, because everything you guys said about Jerry Jacobs against Seattle is right, but Jerry Jacobs was set up to fail against Seattle. So Aaron Glenn, there's weak spots in this defense right now. Acknowledge that, be aware of that, and turn your weaknesses into a strength. And when you can do that, that's how you can stop this Atlanta running attack. That's how you can stop Drake London, who's a mismatch on the outside. That's how you stop Kyle Pitts, who's a mismatch against any linebacker or safety plays. Take what's given to you and neutralize the Falcons' strength, and that's how you do it. You just take what is given to you.
And you know what would help the Falcons if you turn the ball over again, and you really do give them short fields, like the David Montgomery fumble. You don't want to do that against the Falcons and give them a short field. You want Desmond Ridder to earn every drive they score. And again, I talked about this last week, trying to get up early on the Seattle Seahawks because we saw them week one. Kenneth Walker had 9 rushing attempts in the first half against the Rams. Second half, he had 3. They abandoned the run. And, of course, you know what happened in that Rams game. That's a similar kind of mold you got to use against the Falcons. If you could get up early, and someone said this, so I want to give them credit, too, because me and this person are in lockstep here. Let's see, and I can't find the comment specifically, but regardless, whoever said it, I'm with you. If you get up early on the Falcons, you make them abandon whatever the game plan they had currently, which is run the football. You make Desmond Ridder play quarterback, not just play point guard, play quarterback, and lead drives on his own. You're already winning. So we'll see how they respond, but I think turnovers, that's something you got to key in on this week. You can't have 2 turnovers against the Falcons and expect to win by 14. That you can't give this team any layups. That's the biggest thing, Sam Flannel.
I mean, you mentioned it perfectly. If the Lions can get ahead of it can even get maybe 2 scores ahead of the Atlanta Falcons, which I think could happen. I think the Lions are definitely good enough to do that. Then the Atlanta Falcons might be forced to I wouldn't say abandon the run, because I don't think they'd ever really abandon the run. But at some point, you're going to have to air it out if you're down. And conversely, though, if the Atlanta Falcons get ahead, or the Detroit Lions maybe give the Falcons a couple of short fields like they did against the Seahawks, then I would say that's where the Falcons can do what they do best and want to do best, which is run the football, and once they get a lead, just bleed the clock, just keep getting ahead of chains, first down, and completely demoralize the Detroit Lions. So it could go either way. I still have confidence, and I'm not going to reveal my pick just yet, that the Lions can definitely win, that they definitely should win. But the Atlanta Falcons, they definitely, before the season, we were kind of talking about, oh yeah, this is definitely going to be a win. But with the way that the Lions looked against the Seahawks, specifically with their defense and their turnovers and the coaching decisions, and the way the Atlanta Falcons run game has looked so far, with Bijan Robinson looking like either the best or the second best running back in the NFL to Christian McCaffrey, the Falcons are going to be a bitch to play against. Lucas, I know you brought it up on the heavyweights and you brought it up before on this show. The Falcons are going to be a bitch to play against, especially if they're good. Even if they're not good, they're a bitch to play against.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But guess what? If you want to get in shape here to get ready for the Falcons game, Lions players, I got to go to Planet Fitness, right? Screw the Lions equipment. Hey, they probably got state-of-the-art stuff in Allen Park. You know what? Go to Planet Fitness.
Hollis Hall. Shout out Chicago Bears.
Oh, wow. Wow, we'll get to that later in the show. Planet Fitness, though, they're home of the judgment-free zone where anybody, and I mean anybody, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. For more information or to join today, visit your local Planet Fitness, www.planetfitness.com. No matter where you are, there is a Planet Fitness always close by.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune in to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. Coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Let me tell you about our friends over at the Academy of Warren, because listen, they got it all. They got the regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field that can also be used for 7-on-7 football. If you enroll your child today, they got tons of benefits. Futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, small classroom sizes for ideal learning, and so much more. Enroll your child into the Academy of Warren by visiting theacademyofwarren.net. We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Appreciate you guys' support on the show. If you could be so gracious enough to hit the like button, we'd much appreciate it. Plenty more to get to. I want to spend a little time now to talk about Aiden Hutchinson, because I know we kind of talked about him earlier in the week and how I do expect Aiden to start putting together some big performances. Even though he has shown so far he's the only capable defensive lineman on this roster. And that's true. Both things can be true. I expect a sack out of Aiden. He's also by far the best defensive lineman you have. So both those things are true. Woodward Sports put a graphic up kind of putting into perspective what Aiden's been doing this season, leading the NFL, or at least being tied in the NFL with pressures. Now, this is PFF pressures. I don't know specifically how they measure pressures, like within a foot of somebody. I don't know how they measure pressures, but regardless, Aiden Hutchinson, TJ Watt, if you're in the category of TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, Cam Jordan, Jalen Carter, and Carl Granderson, then that's a big time. That's a big time accolade for Aiden Hutchinson. Now, the takeaway I have from this graphic, Sam Flannel, this dude needs help. He needs help bad. Because again, you look at TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, right? TJ Watt. Who's the
Alex Highsmith?
Thank you. Who's a beast, by the way?
Yeah.
Highsmith. Cam Jordan has help on the defensive line.
Carl Granderson, he's right there.
Carl Granderson.
Yeah, Carl Granderson. But also Brian Bresee, who's been looking good. Jalen Carter, the help he has on his defensive line. Aiden Hutchinson is tied for first with Aleem McNeil next to him. Not saying Aleem's trash, but damn! This is a defensive line that, besides Aiden, they had zero pressures. A donut for pressures, essentially, between Aleem and Levi Onwuzurike. Now, James Houston was the guy that you could depend on dating back to last season, but he's out for the foreseeable future. My question is, Sam Flannel, what the hell should Brad Holmes do? Are you confident in who they have in-house to step up? Or you think he's got to get a trade done? Or maybe sign a free agent? Bring more help in this defensive line room?
Of course I'm not confident in what they have besides Aiden Hutchinson. I would have been confident if they had James Houston, and he was playing. First of all, what the hell was James Houston doing on special teams anyway? The man was an 8-sack guy last year, and now he's hurt, and he's going to be gone for a very, very long time. But so far, the Detroit Lions, outside of Aiden Hutchinson, have not shown the ability to rush the passer. Charles Harris, are you sure he's even played? John Kaminsky, I would say, at least against the Seahawks, he does. He was a disappointment. Certainly that defensive line. We gave you the PFF numbers yesterday. Benito Jones, Levi Onwuzurike, and Aleem McNeil probably played one of the worst games a defensive line has ever played in the history of the NFL. Romeo Okwara hasn't played. Broderick Martin hasn't played. Josh Pascal is hurt also and might be out for a very, very long time. You've got Isaiah Buggs hasn't played either. So it just kind of seems like on the defensive line, the cupboard is, I would say, bare. But despite all that, I know they were much more healthy in the Kansas City Chiefs game because they've had a lot of injuries since then.
Right.
Aiden Hutchinson wrecked that game. You could argue that he was one of the most instrumental players in winning you that game, putting pressure on Patrick Mahomes, making him throw before it's ready, and really just kind of being the leader of a defensive unit that only gave up 20 points in that game. It's just what we saw in that Seattle Seahawks game. Did the defense play well enough to win in that one? Absolutely not. Was Aiden Hutchinson the problem? Good God, no. But he definitely, I would say, wasn't the solution either. It is really, really hard to play to get pressure on the quarterback as an edge rusher when your defensive line is playing as poorly as the Lions was against the Seahawks. But when you're Aiden Hutchinson, and this is not a criticism of him, I love Aiden Hutchinson. I still do. I think he could be a defensive player of the year someday. At some point in that game, you had to be the solution. You had to rise up playing against backup tackles and get to the quarterback and make a sack, even hit the quarterback, which he didn't do either. So I would say this whole getting 13 pressures thing, it is very, very, very impressive overall. But there's definitely levels to this, because what does Micah Parsons and TJ Watt and Cam Jordan and Jalen Carter have done? They have hit the quarterback, they have sacked the quarterback, they have had multiple tackles for loss. Aiden Hutchinson has had neither of both. Do I expect him to get it this week against Atlanta? I sure as hell hope so. But I would say Aiden Hutchinson's season overall has been good. He's been probably one of their better defensive players, certainly their best defensive lineman. But I want to see him take it to that level where I expect him to be, which is a perennial Pro Bowler, a perennial All-Pro, and a Defensive Player of the Year someday. I didn't see that against Seattle. He needs to step up against Atlanta.
So I have two parts to what I'm about to say. The first part is, from the perspective of Brad Holmes, right? You have Charles Harris, who first year here had 7.5 sacks. You have Romeo Okwara, who before he was hurt had 10 sacks. You have John Kaminsky, who showed a lot last year, had a couple sacks, and was setting up a lot of things for Aiden Hutchinson. Those dudes need to step up. Like, they do. Like, again, there was a lot of raving about Charles Harris before the season. So some of it, yes, I won't blame coaching, but the other part of it, those guys just need to step up. That's why Dan talked about it. You need some guys you can depend on, and I think those guys are who the coaching staff thought would show up. Now, the other part of that is, and both things can be true, and I want Lucas to give me his reaction to this statement and tell me if I'm off, out of pocket here. Two things can be true. Aiden Hutchinson does get held a lot. He does get double-teamed. The other part of that is, if Aiden Hutchinson is who we think he is, you don't think Nick Bosa gets double-teamed?
Never. He's never got double-teamed a day in his life, right? Micah Parsons either. No,
Micah Parsons, even though Micah does have help. But you look at some of the best edge rushers in the league, you're going to get double-teamed. You're going to get held. He has to overcome that. And I know that sounds, well, he's getting held. He got held at the NLCL game. Listen, Aiden Hutchinson, you selected him number 2 overall. That dude needs to just make plays. He does. Now, he's leading the NFL in pressures. He's doing pretty good so far, and he does need help. But the whole, making excuses for Aiden thing, I can't get behind, Lucas. I can't. The one thing I will agree with is he needs help on the defensive line. But saying, he gets held, he gets double-teamed, those don't work for me. Because if you think Aiden will be a top 10 edge rusher, it shouldn't matter.
And you're absolutely, and that's where the concern against Atlanta Falcons, where it's you can't be absolutely confident heading into this week because there's no help for Hutch. And one of the most important things in the NFL in general is pass rush. But the thing that kind of drives me nuts about that whole chart is I want you to go back. Who did the Lions play these first 2 weeks? Patrick Mahomes, Geno Smith, very mobile quarterbacks. And when you don't have an interior presence, guess where? When Hutch is setting that edge, they're running right up the middle. After that Geno Smith intentional grounding, it was a 17-yard gain to put the Seahawks right back in and Geno Smith rolling out of the pocket. The week before that, they played Patrick Mahomes, the most underrated mobile quarterback, just because he doesn't use his mobility all the time, but when he does, it kills you. The Eagles, who'd they play week 1? Mac Jones?
They played Mac Jones.
Who'd they play last week?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Who did the Eagles just play last week?
Vikings.
Yeah,
the Vikings.
Kirk Cousins.
So Kirk Cousins, 2 mobile quarterbacks. The Saints, they played Bryce Young, mobile quarterback, but he was scared for his life, had no clue what to do out there. The Cowboys, they played Zach Wilson, and then the week before that, they played Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. So the teams that these guys are playing against, offensively at the quarterback position, are nowhere near Patrick Mahomes and Geno Smith as far for the defensive end to contain them and have help. Aiden Hutchinson needs help, but it's also week 2 of the NFL season, people. There's going to be huge asterisks. So you're looking at these lists now, and you're going to be like, when it's on the scene, you're like, how the fuck was he on? How the fuck was he on? There's going to be plenty of time for Aiden Hutchinson for this to come back to earth, and I think it will. But for that to happen, he definitely needs help. I think right now there's nobody you can go trade for. It's too early in the NFL season. Everybody in their NFL eyes, unless they're 0-2, unless you're the Arizona Cardinals.
They like the roster.
They like okay, we got a chance to Washington.
Right.
Everybody's like, go get Chase Young. You think Washington, who's 2-0 in the NFC East with Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts in their division, is going to give up Chase Young right now? No. Maybe if they were 0-5, but they're 2-0 right now. So what they need to do is they need to put in Isaiah Buggs, because you just saw what the interior of this defensive line did last week. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing. You know what Isaiah Buggs did on the field? Absolutely nothing, because he's at home. So if you have 2 absolutely nothings and you're going to try to do the one absolutely nothing that didn't work last week, that's insanity. Isaiah Buggs is not only a player that you saw last year at home against Minnesota in Lambeau make huge contributions, but what did you guys just say earlier about C.J. Gardner-Johnson? He's that battery plug. He's that juice. Isaiah Buggs brings the juice, and he's going to help these guys elevate. That's what I don't get about this whole situation. You're going to leave Benito Jones out there? I'm sorry, but who is Benito Jones motivating? What play have we ever seen Benito Jones make? I can go back to numerous plays of watching what Isaiah Buggs has done for this Detroit Lions team. So that's where it comes. First step, put in Isaiah Buggs. Put in a big body that you have seen. We saw it last year make impactful plays. So why are we going away from it? I don't know, but it's time to adjust.
I'm sorry, Benito Jones ain't motivating me to make a sandwich. Like, those are just the facts, man.
He's not doing anything out there.
Jeff Lammy says Pascal means more to the Lions D-line than most people realize. Listen, that's my guy. And again, the value of Josh Pascal is he can move all around, and he actually creates pressure. So, again, I agree with that statement. And by the way, no one's blaming Aiden Hutchinson. Last week, is it disappointing that he didn't get a sack with two new tackles, right? 2 substitute tackles. Yes, it's disappointing. Now, am I worried about Aiden? No. I think it's more on the rest of the guys. Somebody needs to step up and be a threat to this offensive line for the Falcons. They need to be concerned about somebody other than Aiden Hutchinson. That's the fact, because then it'll help Aiden. But the other part of it is, I just wanted to address the excuses people are making right now, that he's getting double teamed and that he's being held. That stuff I'm not even going to entertain, because that's a common theme. But to the people, to Aiden's credit, even guys like TJ, when you saw the graphic, they all have somebody else on that defensive line that offensive lines and offenses have to account for. There's nobody right now. There's nobody. No one's game planning up for Benito Jones.
No, I mean,
you think the Atlanta Falcons are like, hey man, we gotta watch out for Benito Jones. We got to watch out for Aleem McNeil. Maybe Aleem in the run game, but no, it's Aiden Hutchinson, and it stops there.
Sure, I get that, and that is certainly a reason, because this defensive line, especially with all the injuries, especially with how they haven't used Broderick Martin or Isaiah Buggs at all, especially with how poorly the guys I've mentioned many times, I don't care to mention them again, led by Benito Jones, have played, it's looking like it could be a bad defensive line overall, especially considering James Houston is now out too, and I would say that's concerning. But the one thing you mentioned, that the Steelers defense and the Cowboys defense help out TJ Watt and Micah Parsons a hell of a lot more than the Lions help out Aiden Hutchinson. But you know what else those guys have? Sacks. TJ Watt has 4, Micah Parsons has 3. TJ Watt has 3 tackles for loss, Micah Parsons has 4. And Aiden Hutchinson has none of either of them. Micah Parsons is the highest graded edge rusher according to PFF. TJ Watt is 3rd. Aiden Hutchinson is 48th, right behind, you're going to love this name, Lucas Van Ness. That's actually a fact. I looked that up. And I'm not trying to disparage or cast aspersions on Aiden Hutchinson. I'm just saying the way that he has played, I would say against Kansas City, he looked like a potential
he was great.
all-pro defensive player of the year. But against Seattle, he didn't strike me as that kind of a guy. And I know it's okay to have some bad games. He just has to make up for it. But still, I guess I just have sky-high expectations for Aiden Hutchinson. And how he looked against Seattle is somebody who's got the potential to be very, very good. I didn't see transcendent. One game, I understand.
Yeah. Do you guys think Hutch was, like, hurt? Because especially at the end of the game, he went down. And he came right back in, but do you think he's like dealing with something?
I mean,
as much as we don't want to think about
even if he is or not, and a lot of guys are playing hurt. So like, I don't want to use that. Although you might be right, and hopefully it's nothing too concerning. But at the same time, to kind of the point, I get what you're saying, Sam, but to kind of defend Aiden, like the reason why he exploded last year was the emergence of James Houston. Like you need somebody in that Kansas City game. James Houston was there. Like, and he played great. Aiden was in Patrick Mahomes' face pretty much every play. It's just last week. And maybe it's a one-off. That's probably what it is. But going forward, somebody else needs to freaking step up and win one-on-ones. That's the takeaway here.
Bring Lions fans Isaiah Buggs.
You think Buggs is that?
I'm not saying that
just for the juice purposes.
He's the reason, but just as far as, like, he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he has something to prove. And you just leave the same thing that you've been going out there with, it's not going to change. Like, expecting something to change after you've seen numerous times that it's not working, it's literally insanity. You have seen a proven product. You have seen Isaiah Buggs here, John Kaminsky here, and they played pretty fucking well together, better than anybody would have thought. So maybe it's just a chemistry thing of the fact that why was that Lions defensive line overachieving so much last year? They probably had great chemistry, knew where the other guy was going to be while he did that. I think there's just simple things that need to be worked out, and one of them, and it's not so simple, is the personnel that they have up there.
Yeah, and to your point, Lucas, one thing they preached a lot last year was just doing your job. Like, do your job. And you saw kind of some moments in that Seattle game where it reminded you of last year, where they just couldn't contain Geno. They're over pursuing. maybe that's something that it is correctable. Maybe you'll see something different against Atlanta, but you have to. And I expect a big game out of Aiden this week. I do. You have to. And Aiden's, I'll give him this. He's great against the run, too. He's one of the more complete defensive ends. And it's funny because I have a buddy who's a Giants fan, and Kayvon Thibodeau. If you go on Kayvon Thibodeau's Instagram or anything, that guy is getting ate up by Giants fans.
Yeah.
Giants fans are coming at that man's neck. I don't. Some of the stuff they're saying about him is messed up. But it makes you think. Going back, you did get the best player, in my opinion, in that entire draft. So no one's saying Aiden's a bum or anything like that. But this week against Atlanta, man, he's one of those guys that can make a difference, can be a game changer, and we'll see this week.
Well, and you mentioned it. You know where else he can be a difference in? Maybe slowing down Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. Because Aiden Hutchinson,
if they get to the edge, if the Atlanta Falcons consistently get to the edge, especially with Tyler Algier, if Tyler Algier somehow gets to the edge, the Lions are going to be in trouble. Now, not saying it's going to happen, but that's one of the Aiden Hutchinson. Probably the best player on this team. You could say Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, but right now, you'd say Aiden Hutchinson. Your best player has to play like the best player. If he doesn't show up, or if they neutralize him, the Lions are going to be in trouble, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Eastside Meech says coming at that man's neck is crazy.
Yeah, well, I didn't say anything. I know I made a face, and I was just like, we're not going to say anything, but that was another clippable moment.
JB?
He'll get you. He's a sniper.
Don't you soundbite that. You sneaky bastard.
And he's such a nice guy, but there's just
hold on.
What's up?
JB's he's an angel. He's a great guy, but you'll be back there cooking up some sound bites for tomorrow, man. I know you too well, JB.
I mean, I got a couple of Sam.
What's the one you accidentally hit last night when we were doing heavies? It was of Jeff.
Oh,
Jeff Iafrate's a bitch.
I didn't mean it. I was trying to hit the one next to it.
What the hell is up with Neil stopping violence? And then he says, I want to slap Jeff Iafrate live on set.
Like the bitch he is.
Like the bitch he is. Neil Rule, I'm here, baby. Come slap me on Sunday. Me and Neil doing the show together. It's going to be a lot of fun, man.
Must-see TV.
He is, that is, oh my gosh. I'm curious. And Booner will be joining us as well. And Neil is the king of the get right picks. And we got Booner's bets. Neil's going to be teasing you, Booner. He's going to be coming after you. So you better be on point with your bets because Neil is the get-right king, and he has quite the record in that area. Nobody says Neil's going to pimp slap you. I love Neil, man. I really do. Let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about Jared Goff and clear some of the air with the Jared Goff hate because it's out of pocket. And you hosted a show with a man who isn't directly hating. He kind of trolled the people. But we got to bring up some of the whole Jared Goff's to blame for last week because Easy.
People think that's so idiotic.
Dude, it's funny because Easy is trolling. Love Easy. He did this last year against Seattle. After the Seattle game last year, Jared threw a pick six.
And the thing is, you know damn well if Jared Goff threw one touchdown instead of two and the Lions got an extra rushing touchdown, people would be like, is Jared Goff really not the answer? He only threw one touchdown. He had a pick six. Yeah, it was like 380 fucking passes. Shit happens. Shout out JD. That was a bar that he dropped the other day.
And by the way, for the people that are questioning about the pregame show this week, we're going to do all pregame shows here at the studio, so we have no problems. Going out on the road and relying on other people, although very grateful for Bullseye, that I don't want to pre-record shows. We're going to do them live, so we're going to do it live from the studio, and we'll check in from Bullseye, from Eastern Market with the people.
Me, Kool-Aid, I think Easy and Spenny will all be down there at the tailgates. We'll send you guys back good content.
So me and Neil Rule are going to hold it down at home base here, and then we'll be checking in with everybody down at the Eastern Market. It'll be a great show, packed down there as well, I think, this week once again. We'll go to break, like I said. We'll talk about Jared Goff, but first, I got to hear about our friends from Swiss Insurance.
Absolutely. Do you have football on the brain? Fall ushers in college and professional football, and this year is going to be awesome. Fall is also a perfect time to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop it like a pro with Swiss Insurance. They cover Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you too. Ask for Mark at Swiss Insurance today at swissins.com or call them at 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177, Swiss Insurance.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer at Academy of Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new field house. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, Learning Street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Holton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports Crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays. Join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
Let me tell you about our friends over at Glorious Cannabis, because just in time, just in time for football, Glorious Cannabis is dropping a new ice water bubble hash infused pre-roll called Honolulu Blue. Trust me, if you're stressed out, smoke this thing before Sunday's game, and I'm telling you, it'll be a different experience. Either you'll be stressed out even more and overthinking and have anxiety, or it'll go the other way and you'll be chilling watching the Lions game. Hopefully it's the other part. Hopefully Lions win this week. You don't have to stress out, but it smells so good, as I was told. If you haven't had one of these ice water pre-rolls, you're missing out. Find them at Dispo Dispensary for 25% off. Use code Woodward. Glorious. www.gloriouscanna.com. We're back here. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Plenty more to get to. Just got past the second hour of the show. Talked about Aiden Hutchinson, Lee McNeil, Jahmyr Gibbs, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Now it's time for Jared Goff. And let me tell you something, man. I mean, Jared Goff, even before this season, everybody's talking about, can he do it again? Can he have a season in which he had last year, being top 5 in multiple categories? I'll tell you what. He's doing it again. I mean, besides the pick six, which everybody wants to harp on, he's 5th in QBR. He's got 4 touchdown passes to 1 interception. And you look at his yards, he's top 5 in yards. So, again, C.J. Stroud's actually ahead of him, which is weird. But they're playing from behind, so different context. But regardless, he's top 5 in yards. You look about, and if you saw the stat, 2 average yards per pass, he's 2nd behind Tua Tagovailoa, who's got Tyreek Hill over there. So, pretty good to be in those waters. You look at touchdown passes, he's tied for 4th. So he's essentially top 5 in multiple categories. What's up with the Jared Goff slander here? I don't understand it either. You watched the last 2 football games. The last person I'm blaming is Jared Goff. On the road against the Chiefs, I was told Jared Goff is terrible on the road. He can't play, stinks. Showed out in Arrowhead in Kansas City. Did enough to win. Week 2, at home, in which we know how well he plays at home. Goes out, throws for over 300 yards, has 3 touchdown passes, quarterback rating of 121.8, and he throws, of course, that pick 6, which ended up costing him at the end of the game. But to say that it was Jared Goff's fault is idiotic. Stupid. You scored 31 points, okay? And I know you gave Seattle 7, but what about David Montgomery's fumble? Coming right out of halftime, essentially, and they scored on that drive. What about the defense, right? What about the defense making Geno Smith look like prime Russell Wilson? Like, what are we doing here? And that's, again, I would say it's more of a complete team loss, right? The pick 6, sprinkling in with the defense, not stopping anybody. There's a lot of things you can point to, but to say it's Jared Goff's fault is just dumb. It's dumb.
All right, so I've got a lot to say about this.
Uh-oh.
All right,
We're about to...
Wait a minute. Jared Goff was obviously outstanding in that game for the most part. He threw 3 touchdown passes. He had a quarterback rating over 120. That is absolutely magnificent. And Jared Goff was certainly not one of the reasons why they lost that game, or one of the biggest reasons why they lost that game. Here's the problem, though, that I'm having with the discourse. No serious person is actually saying that Jared Goff lost them the game. And my thing is, and here's where I come at it from a lot of times. It's not that people are saying it or what happened. It's the discourse surrounding it now. Now you're not even allowed to criticize Jared Goff's pick 6 or else, oh my God, how could you blame Jared Goff? You're actually not even allowed to say that the pick 6 was Jared Goff's fault, because it's like, Jahmyr Gibbs didn't run the right route. His arm was hit. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the reality of the situation. Jared Goff played more than well enough to win. But after Seattle took the lead 24-21 at the beginning of the 4th quarter, I think with 8 minutes left in the 4th quarter, Jared Goff got on the field, threw a pick 6, and then directly after that, that, it was 31-21. Did Jared Goff lead him back to tie the game? Absolutely he did. But I will say this, and this is where a lot of people are not going to like this, but I'm just going to say it. Jared Goff was more responsible for this year's loss than last year's loss to the Seahawks.
Jared Goff's pick 6 was scripted, by the way.
Oh, there we go again. Again.
What? Sam.
Last year, okay, let me explain why. Last year, the offense scored 45 points. The defense didn't force a single punt. To blame Jared Goff for that loss is just as asinine can be. But this year, I mean, the defense actually got some stops. The turnovers and the turnover on downs put the defense in a lot of bad situations. What?
Sam, they went to overtime.
I know.
And Jared didn't get the ball back.
I know. I'm not saying that's his fault. I'm just saying, like, you are literally not allowed to say anything slightly negative about Jared Goff now.
That's not true, but I think there's got to be some, like, to your point, there's got to be some rationale around it.
Sure.
Like this pick 6. Okay, that's fine. You can blame him for it if you want. This man has been dealing with Josh Reynolds as his wide receiver 2. A rookie in Sam Laporta, a rookie in Jahmyr Gibbs, who are going to make rookie mistakes. Amon-Ra St. Brown is dealing with the toe injury that happened during that game. And this man is holding everything, slowing it down, making sure that the Lions are still in third and manageable, second and manageable. He has been controlling the game and been controlling the clock there. I don't know what else you want Jared Goff to do, minus throw that pick 6. And that's the first interception he's thrown in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fucking weeks. 10 weeks.
Well,
and so that's where it's like, okay, if you're going to criticize him for that, then you better be saying how he was the most efficient. Like, you better be giving all of his flowers for everything else. If for the first time in I don't know how long, he makes a crucial mistake. Because of the NFL quarterback position in big games, the man just went into Arrowhead against Patrick Mahomes and beat him head to head. I'm not saying Jared Goff's a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, but to start the Jared Goff, like, the noise now, I don't think there's any room for it. I'm sorry. Like, Jared Goff, like, the defense was not helping him out this year either. I'm sorry. Like, I understand it was worse last year, but the defense was doing him no justice this year either.
And by the way, and Sam, to your statement about, like, you can't even give Goff any criticism, I get where you're coming from there, right? He deserves a part of the blame. I brought this up 2 weeks ago, man, when I talked about this defense. I'm like, maybe you have a defense now that can bail you out if Jared Goff makes a mistake. That was my hope. Like, right, you saw it in week 1. Patrick Mahomes threw a pick 6. It was still a one-possession game at the end of the game.
Sure.
Jared Goff throws a pick 6. They lose an OT. Like, that's my – again, Jared Goff, he threw a pick 6. Of course, it's 7 points for Seattle. But to say it was more on Jared Goff than a defense that the only quarterback hit they had or sack was Alex Anzalone is just crazy,
I
Sam.
didn't say that it was more on Jared Goff than the defense. I said that this year's loss to the Seahawks was more on Jared Goff than last year's loss to the Seahawks was on Jared Goff. Neither of them was Goff's fault fully.
So because they forced one more punt, 2 more punts, and now it's on Jared Goff.
Okay, but here's the thing. If you guys haven't seen Easy's tweet, and I think a lot of people took it way too seriously and overreacted, what Easy tweeted was that Jared Goff pick 6, and Easy just basically says, oh my goodness, Aaron Glenn with that, like, how could he do that? And what Easy is saying is that Aaron Glenn's defense, it was not good enough, not at all, and Aaron Glenn had a lot to do with it, but the personnel going out and maybe some questionable drafting decisions had something to do with this game. Despite all of that, they only gave up 24 points in regulation. One of them was a pick 6, and one of them was on a couple of them were on short fields.
Was that Jared Goff's fumbling too, or?
Well, and keep going.
No, I was gonna say, you said the short field because of who?
I mean, okay, the first one was a DMOT fumble, and the second one was a 4th and 2 that they didn't convert because the wide receiver and the quarterback got their feet tangled up. I understand that.
That's what I'm saying, though. Think about, like, how much better and this is where I think it's complete. Like, I think if you're going to be critical of anybody, put Dan Campbell ahead of Jared Goff, because Jared Goff multiple times got the team in the field or in the scoring range, in field goal range, and they didn't take the points. In my opinion, they made 2 poor play calls on the 4th down, on what they wanted to run on 4th down. And so now that makes Jared Goff look bad because he just got the offense on the field and no points. If they get points, they're not in overtime. They win that game. And nobody's saying anything about Jared Goff. Nobody should be saying anything about Jared Goff to begin with. So if you're going to criticize you're allowed to criticize Jared Goff. But if you're going to criticize Jared Goff, I think you have to criticize Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell first, because at the end of the day, Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson can call the play calls, but Dan Campbell has an overhead on everything. And if Jared Goff gets you down the field in a 9-10 play drive and you can't do it on 4th down. You can't just be like, Jared, what are we doing?
Yeah, and Jared got you down the field. You kicked a field goal. You got to OT, and he never got the ball back. And you talk about the 2 turnovers. Yeah, turnovers stink. Like, you spotted Seattle essentially 14 points. And Jared Goff's pick 6 had something to do with that. I think he deserves some blame, but majority of it is this defense. Like, and we could agree there.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people with Easy's tweet triggered so many people, because Easy kind of framed it to sound like he was saying it was more on Jared, in which he ended up saying it was a troll post anyway. And Funky chiming in now. He says, turnovers kill you. We won because of a pick 6 week 1, and everybody agrees, but there's no way we can blame a pick 6 for the loss. Not when you also have a Dave Montgomery fumble, which turned into 7 points. Like, Funky in that game, the only defensive score or big-time defensive play was that pick 6. But in this game, you had Demont fumbling. You had Jared Goff's pick 6. I agree it's part of it. But Jared, like you said, Lucas, there's a ton of other factors we can go here. It was a complete team loss. That's where I agree. If that's Easy's point, I agree with them.
Yeah.
But the defense, if we're talking percentages, which it doesn't matter, the defense, man, like, that's part of it. But the offense didn't put them in great spots either. Sure. So a little bit of blame on both.
Yeah, Jared Goff, and I'm going to say it again, he does not deserve really a whole lot of blame for this. He is one of the last on the totem pole for reasons why the Detroit Lions lost this game. I just don't want people to think that there's actually serious people out there saying that Jared Goff lost them the game. And I don't want people saying that Jared Goff did nothing to contribute to them losing that game, because that was a bad pick 6 when they had an opportunity to go down and either tie the game or take the lead in the 4th quarter. Obviously, he played more than well enough to win. He did a lot to make up for that by tying the game and going to overtime and never getting the ball. It's just that now I think with people kind of getting in their heads that Jared Goff is going to get blamed, now they're going to go way to the other side of the spectrum and basically call him Jesus Goff at this point. He's been very, very good. He's been very, very good for the last, 24 games or so. He's been elite. But we all know that. Everybody knows that.
I think his stock should just be like however you thought of him going into the year should be the exact same. Like, he's playing the exact same that he did last year. There's no reason to critique him or raise him up. Just he's on the same level that he was last year.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. He's still very, very good. He's been very, very good.
Yeah.
What is he, 4th in the NFL in QBR?
I'll take Jared Goff right now. I'll take him. I think he's playing, again, the pick 6, not good. But overall, from what I've seen out of Jared, I'll take that man as a starter. I'm cool with it. That's a guy that you can go to the playoffs and win playoff games with. I believe that. Now, let's see if you can get a defense that can bail them out and bail out the offense if they make mistakes. Because it seems like up to this point, the offense, the room for error is very, very small for this offense. The room for error, you can't make any mistakes. With this defense hasn't shown, at least in game week 2, they can bail you out. They need a defense that, again, there's going to be mistakes. Jared Goff's going to throw interceptions. It's going to happen. The offense, there's going to be fumbles. It's going to happen. You need a defense that can step up. Now, you need an offense that doesn't put your defense in compromising positions, and that has a lot to do with Dan Campbell and when he decides to go for it. I'm telling you right now, the week 1, when they went forward on their own 20 or 30 yard line, you ain't doing that against the Falcons. If you give them and it doesn't work, you give them that short field, that's going to lead to your demise. You're going to have to use, by the way, you're going to have to use the best punter in football, Jack Fox. I'm sorry.
You're
going to have to use it.
Oh, my God.
You're going to have to use the best punter in football that you extended. So we'll see how it plays out. But, again, no doubt about it, Jared Goff, he's fine. So people blaming him, get out of here. We'll go to break. We come back. I want to talk about the Chicago Bears, because what the hell is going on in Chicago? I'll break all that down for you guys as well, some updates, because it seemed like at first it was way worse than what it actually was.
There was some wild stories going.
Reporting.
There was some wild stories.
If anything, if it teaches the people anything, it's don't trust everything you read online, because I made that mistake. and I really believed that some sick stuff was going on in Chicago. I'll explain all that when we come back from break. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Big Boy, because I'll tell you what, those big boys up front need to help Aiden Hutchinson. But also, Aiden Hutchinson, if you're stressed out, man, go to Big Boy. They got tons of food for you. I mean, they got burgers and chicken sandwiches. They got their best cheeseburger, their pretzel bacon cheeseburger, and of course, they got dessert as well, the Reese's chocolate peanut butter thunder cake, or their funnel cake fries. Try it all at our friends over at Big Boy.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot off the press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't don't want to miss it. Join Maz, Dick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour.
You're a good coach, Tim. Oh, great shot.
Some of the biggest names in Michigan sports, and some, well, not so much.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby.
Watch episodes at woodwardsports.com.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
Let's talk about Outdoor Equip Co., official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan-grown, family-owned. Bad boy mowers, tractors, STYL handhelds, and even weed whippers. Liberty trailers, Generac generators, snow X-plows, and salters. Outdoor Equip Co. has it all. Buy it, rent it, 0% financing. Delivery to your doorstep. Outdoor Equip Co. And you can visit their website at outdoorequipco.com.
What is going on in Chicago?
Actually,
yeah, that's more like it. And if you could pull the Fields video that I linked in the prep for me, Lucas, while I read the statement, because he had some interesting things to say, which he walked back, and I'll read back what he said after his statement he made about the coaching staff. But I want to read former Bears defensive coordinator Alan Williams, who essentially re-signed from the Bears, and there wasn't a ton of explanation why. It was first reported that the FBI raided his house, and Peanut Tillman, who is in the FBI, by the way, was involved. Like, there was so much BS being reported yesterday about the whole Alan Williams thing. And Matt Eberflus was calling defensive plays last week for Alan Williams, and this is his statement on stepping away from the Bears. He says, "I'm taking a step back to take care of my health and my family. I appreciate the opportunity to work with the Chicago Bears, a storied NFL franchise with a rich history. The McCaskey family is first class and second to none. I would also like to thank Coach Matt Eberflus and General Manager Ryan Poles for giving me the opportunity to come to Chicago. I would also like to thank President Kevin Warren, the coaches and players, of which I value the relationships and camaraderie. I value the NFL Shield and all that it stands for, and after taking some time to address my health, I plan to come back and coach again." And I'm glad that ending of the statement, I plan to coach again, because it was reported he may never coach again. Like, there was so much BS being thrown out there yesterday. And then on top of that, do you have the video?
Yeah.
Justin Fields spoke to the media, and they asked him about his performance against the Buccaneers, and this is what he had to say.
What do you think was causing you to think so much, maybe think too much?
Could be, coaching, I think.
And that he said a lot more, too, that didn't really make it any better either.
No, he didn't. And again, he did comment afterwards and kind of retract some of those statements. He talked to the media and essentially said, "It's on me. I need to play better. I'm not blaming the coaches for anything." Quote.
Why you always lying?
Why are you lying? That's in Justin Fields. If it was never on the coaches, then why blame the coaches? Like, that sounds like a situation where he spoke before he thought. He just it came out naturally.
Said what was on his mind.
Said what was on his mind, what he was feeling at the moment. He said, "Hey, it's on the coaches," which again, it could be right. They could be, at least for the offensive coordinator Luke Getzky. I mean, there could be a part of it where it's like, okay, Fields, it's almost over coaching. I get there's probably that as well, where he's thinking too much. He's not just playing his game. I mean, he ran like a handful of times the last 2 games. It's not the same Fields we've seen last year. More of a pocket. They're making him sit in the pocket and make decisions. And if you guys watched that Buccaneers game, there was a lot of missed decisions from Fields. And I don't know if that's coaching or it's Fields. I don't know. And in a way, I kind of do feel bad for Fields. I do. Like, although I like to crap on the Bears, and now they seem to be a little overrated from the beginning of the season. And I do think the Bears will catch more. They'll catch more W's, I think, later in the season. It'll take a while for this whole thing to gel. I kind of do feel bad for Fields in a way. Like, this is a guy who has a defensive coordinator as a head coach.
Easy. It's a Toledo man.
Toledo man, but like, come on, what the hell? And again, but then there's the other part of it where Ryan Poles, as much flack as he may get, trading out of the #1 overall pick and taking a tackle in the draft and trying to give as much help to Fields as possible. You gave him DJ Moore. You gave him a #1 wide receiver. He has weapons. Chase Claypool, he's a bum, but he's your 3rd wide receiver.
Got a touchdown.
And he had a touchdown. Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, the backfield suspect. But regardless, for me, it's shared blame. I think blame goes on Justin Fields, but the other part of it is, man, and I've been consistent with this, defensive coaches with young quarterbacks are just not ideal unless you have an elite offensive coordinator. Like what D'Amico Ryan is doing in Houston. He took the passing game coordinator, I believe, from San Francisco, who's calling plays for C.J. Stroud. That's the move, right? You're getting a guy.
That's the move.
It is. That's what you do. If you're Matt Eberflus got Luke Getsky, who I don't even what. Who's Luke Getsky? I don't know who the hell that is. He
the
came
equivalent to Matt Canada.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him. They need more creativity offensively, and Matt Eberflus just isn't the guy. He isn't. I mean, you're seeing it now with the NFL. The Chargers are going to find that out soon enough. They're going to fire Brandon Staley after this year and go get a young offensive coordinator to be the head coach for Justin Fields. That's what I believe. Or excuse me, for Justin Herbert. That's what I believe. But your thoughts on the whole situation with Justin Fields, blaming coaching, and then walking it back.
You know what's funny?
Michael Jackson moonwalking it back.
You know what's funny is I saw Mike Bell in the chat, who I went to war against yesterday, actually, and he actually brought something up kind of sarcastically, but I don't blame him because I got a lot of egg on my face for saying that Justin Fields was going to be good. What are your stats for Justin Fields? I'm glad you asked because I actually have some, because they don't look so good. Justin Fields, in his 27 career starts, has 26 touchdown passes and 24 interceptions. A lot of good rushing stats too, but still, that's not good enough. And his record as a starter is now 5-22. Again, that's not all his fault, but he does share a lion's share of the blame for that, because what have I also mentioned about Justin Fields? I actually don't think I mentioned this on air, but me and Lucas have had conversations with it in the back. When it comes to clutch situations, he fails every single time. You saw it last week when he had a chance to go down the field and tie the game or win. He threw a pick six on a broken screen pass to Shaq Barrett. A 2-yard pick six. Absolutely pathetic. But yes, in his 27 starts, Justin Fields has exactly one fourth quarter comeback and 2 game-winning drives. And you know what one of his game-winning drives was? You're not going to believe this because it is a fucking doozy. The Chicago Bears intercepted Davis Mills. It was in week 3 of last year. They intercepted Davis Mills, got the ball at the Houston Texans 12-yard line, and Justin Fields heroically led them on a 4-play, 0-yard game-winning drive to kick the game-winning field goal, essentially running out the clock. Besides that, he has one against San Francisco in week 1 of last year. That was actually a pretty decent drive, but still, Justin Fields, I am more convinced than ever, and I hate to say it because I was wrong, but I also love to say it because I'm a Lions fan. Justin Fields blows. I'm out on him. Yeah. I've been out on him. He is not an NFL quarterback. And Jeff, you mentioned something earlier. I get it. He has a defensive coach as his head coach. But I don't want to hear about feeling sorry for Justin Fields anymore.
Not at all.
Because we saw some of those highlights. He had a clean pocket. The offensive line was actually blocking well for him. He had his weapons running open, and Justin Fields was just like, and that's the type of stuff. And that's the type of stuff that people said all the time about him, is that he cannot read a defense. And I thought, it's going to be better. It's more the offensive line. It's the weapons. Justin Fields is just not good enough. And honestly, as much as I don't like being wrong, I'm happy as a Lions fan, because as long as the Chicago Bears have Justin Fields as their quarterback, they're not going to win anything. Nothing. Zero. Nada. And you know what else? Ryan Poles is getting fired at the end of next year because he is the most overrated and overhyped GM in the NFL.
This offseason saved his life.
Damn. But was it even a good offseason? Are we sure it was a good offseason?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what kind of everybody was hyping him up for. But I think when it comes down to Justin Fields and this, I think both are completely true. One, Matt Eberflus needs to get the fuck up. Brandon Katz, I don't know what you're saying in the chat, but I want you to go back and watch that film. I want you to go back, I think it's in the middle of the 3rd quarter, and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet run the same route. You can't tell me that's not on coaching, because you know what happens? Interception after that. So that goes on Justin Fields. Now, it was a bad read by Justin Fields because he threw it to an area where 2 players are running the same route.
Right.
So you can use that play just in itself. Look, Jeff, you say it all the time. Flannel, you say it all the time. Both things can be true. Justin Fields can be a bad quarterback, Even though I said that he was going to be good, Flannel said that he was going to be good. And the Bears could have just an absolute wasteland in their coaching department. I think both are true.
And you were high on Justin Fields.
I was. I said he was going to be better than C.J. Stroud. And right now, it looks like I look like a fucking idiot when it comes to that department. So thank you.
Well, and by the way, the whole thing with Fields, and this is why I'm curious, because you got to listen to what they tell you. Fields is saying he feels robotic. I don't know, and he blames coaching, but then he walks it back. I think there's some truth to that. Not saying it's all on the coaching staff. I mean, Fields deserves blame, but I'm curious what he means by that. Is it being overcoached? Is it Luke talking to him in his helmet saying, "Hey,
it's analytics. It's this.
Don't throw it to Rashawn Johnson in the seam and when he's open." I don't know what's going on.
It's what it is. It's because the NFL is just dominated by analytics. So when a quarterback is getting coached now, what they're getting told is, "Hey, on 3rd and 2, if you hit an out route that works 70% of the time, if you hit the fade route, that works 10% of the time." So when you have a quarterback in Justin Fields who struggles to go through progressions as it is, when he gets in that, where it's like, what's going on? He's like, 70% of the time that works. Boop, pick. You know why? Because you don't have a good playmaker out there, and it's bad coaching because he's probably running the wrong route fucking regardless. So not only does Justin Fields have to worry about making bad decisions, but he's got to worry about bad play calling, bad analytics, just they overcomplicated the game for him so much, and it's so obvious because the reads that he's missing on are so simple. It's like, what are you doing? Like, it's simple things that's like you expect that out of Zach Wilson in his rookie year, and you're seeing it in Justin Fields in year 3. So it's so much going on.
And this is why this is a weird turn, but this is why I go back to Ben Johnson, because thing I always loved about Ben, ever since the day I advocated for him 2 years ago here on the show, is because of the relationship he has with players, the communication he has with players. What does Jared Goff and Ermanni always talk about with Ben Johnson? He speaks to us. What do you guys want? Like, what do you love to do? Let me implement your strengths into the playbook, and we'll play to your strengths. They're not doing that in Chicago. No. They're making Justin Fields be a pocket quarterback when he's not a pocket quarterback. Well, he like last year had over 1,000 rushing yards. We agree he's one of the most dynamic quarterbacks running the football. Passing, that's something he's got to work on. But let him run. That's the straight. That's what he does. You can't. You're trying to fit a circle in a square hole. It's not going to work.
Well, okay. So I get all of that. I get all of that. That Justin Fields, he might not have the best offensive coordinator. It might not be the best situation because Matt Eberflus, as we said, is a defensive coach. And if I were a young quarterback, I'd want to be developed under an offensive coach. That's usually when it works. Offensive coaches almost all of the time work to some extent. But the thing with him sitting on a press conference and talking about blaming coaching, I know there was a lot of context to what he said, but still a lot of it didn't sound better. That is not, as Colin Cowherd would say, quarterback-eel. At some point, if you're a quarterback, you have to. That is absolutely a word. I didn't coin that. Colin Cowherd did. That's why I gave him credit. And that is the thing. When you are a quarterback, you have to take responsibility. You have to be up there and say, it is on me. You have no choice. There's a different standard for how you carry yourself and how you kind of answer questions and how you sort of get all the credit and take the blame when you are a quarterback. If you're like Richard Sherman, for example, you can have that interview with Aaron Andrews, like, I'm the best corner in the game. You can be like that. But if you're a quarterback, you have to be level-headed, you have to be measured, and you have to have character. And Justin Fields, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm just saying that answer also showed a lot to me that maybe he's just not. He doesn't even have the mindset to be a franchise quarterback. That's a big job.
No, it is. And you go watch Justin Fields. You watch film. Well, go watch film on Jared Goff's press conferences because he nails that part of it. Right? When you win games, it's the team. When you lose games, it's me. Yeah. Like, that's how quarterbacks operate. Jared Goff will say it best. Like, hey, I could have played better. I mean, he never blames others. But when they win, the team played well. So that's the type of attitude your franchise quarterback needs, and Fields, maybe still young, needs to process that. You don't come out in a press conference and say, and I love this comment, Don Veed says, teammate grade went down to a D-.
Lost 12 XP.
That you can't do that, Justin Fields. But guess what? We'll go to break. When we get back, we'll preview tonight's game, Thursday Night Football, Giants taking on the 49ers. Booner, if you're in the chat, if you could drop a couple best bets, man, I got to cook up a parlay tonight. I've been taking L's with my bets, so that's why I don't have my own betting show, and I don't dabble in it, but I need to win something. And tonight, It's going to be a good game for the 49ers.
This game's going to be so ugly.
Yeah, I know. But you know what's not ugly? That defense that Guardian Alarm has.
Yes, and our Guardian Alarm, there is never any questions about their defense. And let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, Guardian Alarm, your local security experts.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports Crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays to join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
For over 60 years, Fairway Packing Company has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, Wagyu beef, and dry-aged beef. Experience the Fairway difference for yourself. Visit their steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods for grab-and-go steaks, or check them out online at fairwaypacking.com.
We're back here. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you could help us out, hit that like button on the stream. We'll try to get to 125 likes by the end of this segment. We're going to spend some time previewing Thursday Night Football. The Giants travel to San Francisco to take on the 2-0 49ers. Giants 1-1, coming off the biggest comeback win in franchise history last week against Jonathan Gannon and Josh Dobbs.
Shots, explosive.
You know, shots, explosives. But hey, Giants come out with a win. It looked ugly for them. But regardless, they're 1-1. They're still somewhat alive here. And they got last week's win on the road. We'll see. They travel to the 49ers, who just seem to be like a powerhouse right now. The 49ers are, I mean, they're the best team in the NFC. I mean, besides them or Dallas. I know I made the argument for Dallas last week, but if you chose the 49ers, I can't get mad at you.
No, you can't.
You know, it's those two teams to me right now.
I'm mad at you for choosing the Cowboys, though.
Plus 60-point differential. I don't. Regardless.
Zach Wilson.
Regardless. That defense is legit, though. Even though Garrett Wilson did burn Stephen Gilmore on that slant route.
Stephon. Don't slander Stephen like that.
Excuse me. Stephon.
Don't slander him like that.
Excuse me. Stephon. Yeah, Stephen plays for the Lions. Regardless, your predictions tonight. And why are the 49ers going to destroy the Giants?
All right, so that was very anticlimactic. So I have to talk about something that everybody agrees with, especially my man Jeff Iafrate, and that is the Lions pregame show, of course. The Woodward Sports Lions pregame show returns for another season of Lions football. Join Woodward Sports host Jeff Iafrate, that guy right there, and this week with Neil Rule. You guys are not going to want to miss that. But yeah, his weekly special guests on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Whether you're sipping the Kool-Aid or kicking and screaming same old Lions, you will not want to miss the show. Live this Sunday from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., getting you ready for the Lions' big matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. Join us all season long for an action-packed Lions pregame experience. Yeah, obviously the 49ers are going to win this game, but I will say this, and this is going to sound kind of silly because I don't want to give too much credit for the Giants. They started off the year being outscored 60-0. And that's actually true. At one point, they were losing to Arizona 20-0, and I thought their season was just going to implode and it was going to be over. But I will give the Giants this. when they had to respond, albeit against the Arizona Cardinals, they got the win that they absolutely needed, or it would have been planets colliding, dumpster fire level, Armageddon level bad. And they got that win. They got that big win because, of course, they're not, because everyone in the NFL is big to some extent. Because now they go and face the San Francisco 49ers without Saquon Barkley. It's going to get ugly.
Matt Breida time, baby.
It's going to get ugly.
Yeah, my fantasy team.
Hey, they get Wan'Dale Robinson back tonight, though. There's something going for him. Hey, don't disrespect Wan'Dale Robinson. Don't disrespect Wan'Dale Robinson.
I know who Wan'Dale Robinson is, but like, why? That's your game changer.
It's a motivational factor for him. Maybe a little morale boost. You get some speed
Morale
on the outside
boost.
next to Sterling Shepard.
Hey guys. Wan'Dale Robinson's coming back. We have a chance.
Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, and Nick Bosa are going to be ripping off Daniel Jones' helmet the whole fucking night.
Dude, they're going to, I swear to you, the 49ers here, they're going to destroy the Giants. Right now, the line, and again, Brian Daboll's a great coach, but you're right, Sam, for a minute there, it looks scary. And now they don't have Saquon Barkley, who is essentially their entire offense. We'll see. Matt Breida, he's more, to me, like a feature back. Like, they're not going to use him.
That's
what are they going to
generous. That's very generous.
Yeah, like somebody you use like a change of pace guy.
And
like,
they got Gary Brightwell, too.
Ugh.
You guys remember Gary Brightwell last season? I don't think anybody does.
No one does. Who the hell?
No.
Look up Gary
No.
Brightwell. I just know him from fantasy. Man probably had the most disturbing looking fantasy picture. Like when you go, who's he? Oh my God. Like Gary Brightwell's just this. He's not even like scary looking. He's just his eyes like protrude out of his head way too far.
Travis White says he isn't ruled out. Talking about Barkley on ESPN, I think that's strategic. I think they're just like he might
He's got
play.
a high ankle sprain.
High
It's
ankle
3 weeks.
Yeah, high ankle sprain. He's not returning in a week. He just isn't. Now they can keep him questionable for the 49ers' sake. That's the only chance they have is they game plan for Saquon and he's not there. But I think Saquon's out. I hope he plays. He's on my fantasy team. I need some help here. I'm facing I believe. Who am I facing this week? Let me check.
Oh no! All I know is I'm 2-0, about to be rolling to 3-0.
Let me see. Let me see who I'm facing. I'm facing Ryan Lentz.
Ooh, he's 2-0. Right? He's got
Puka Nacua.
And he's got Amon-Ra.
Okay,
yeah, Puka Nacua, man. I mean,
dude's got 35 targets.
That has got to be the most frustrating thing. Like for if you're going against Puka Nacua the first 2 weeks and he puts 20 on you. Like, that's got to be deflating.
Guys, you know how good that Puka Nacua has been?
Yeah.
If the season ended today, he would win Offensive Rookie of the Year over Bijan Robinson. And Bijan Robinson, I've been arguing for, is maybe the best running back in the NFL already.
Yeah.
So Puka Nacua, he's literally looked like prime Cooper Kupp in the first couple of games.
Yeah, no
Puka
doubt.
Cup.
And people here,
Puka
look at this. And people talking about their fantasy team. Christian Howell says, my fantasy team has been wrecked with injuries. Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Chubb. Oh, my God. Whoever drafted Chubb, man, I feel for you. I feel for you. Yeah, and Maz drafted him, and Maz's team lacks depth anyway.
He had A.J. Dillon as his RB2.
So, yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. That's bad. We'll go to a break when we get back. We'll get to what's trending with Lucas and, of course, mailbag. But stick with us. But first, I got to hear about our friends from Dispo who will be at tomorrow. We'll be at the Romeo location.
Man, that is always a great time. I can't wait for that. Experience the true meaning of exceptional cannabis products with Dispo Dispensary. With over 12 locations, including their new location that is now open in Whitmore Lake, Dispo is never far away. Join Woodward Sports at Dispo Romeo this Friday for an all-day live broadcast. Dispo Dispensary, disposhops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Burgers and chicken sandwiches are taking over at Big Boy. Try our new pretzel bacon cheeseburger. Turn up the heat with Bob's Hot Chicken Sandwich. Upgrade those regular fries with our chili cheese fries or loaded baked potato fries. Hit your sweet tooth with funnel cake fries or Reese's chocolate peanut butter thunder cake. Load up on all your favorites today at Big Boy.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays. Join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
When buying or selling real estate, flexibility and control over the sales process is key. Sellers, how would you like the freedom of canceling your listing agreement at any time, any reason, with no penalty? That is exactly what Mark White and Associate offers. It's called the Minute-by-Minute Listing Agreement by Mark White and Associates. Try Mark White's risk-free minute-to-minute listing agreement today. Looking to buy or sell real estate? Visit markwhitesales.com or give them a call at 248-290-8242. markwhitesales.com, where flexibility meets success.
Cameron, in the Woodward Sports YouTube chat, he says, did I hear visiting Dispo tomorrow? That burger truck going to be there again. I hope so, Cameron. And we met Cameron, actually, at one of the time, I think last time we were there. So shout out to you. But yes, I believe the burger truck will be there. They better be, man. They do. I forgot the name of it.
Shout out T-Burger.
Yeah, T-Burgers. Yeah, delicious burgers, man. And we'll definitely be indulged in those tomorrow. Koke says, what are the Vegas odds on Jeff versus Neal on Sunday? I think I come in at like a plus 200. It's not like a heavy favorite, but come on, Lucas.
The spread is favoriting Neal like 20.5 right now. It's going to be a lot like the Thursday night
bigger than
game.
the 49ers? Damn.
No, you what? You're essentially saying I'm the Giants and he's the 49ers.
It's not kind of what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying.
Oh, damn.
They have your back till they don't. Let's get to what's running with Lucas. Lucas, what do you got for us?
Well, we just talked about Dispo and Percy Harvin. He's on the front line. He's fighting for NFL players out here. Listen to what he had to say.
How often did you smoke, Percy?
There's not a game I played in that I wasn't high. And that's what I want the world to kind of see today, is it's not a stigma and, people doing it and getting in a whole bunch of trouble. It's people that's just living regular life that just got deficiencies or just may want to enjoy themselves. It's a natural way to do.
So, he obviously said there was not a single game that he did not play stoned out of his mind. He probably wasn't stoned out of his mind, but either way, not a game where he wasn't high. Should the NFL legalize weed for all the players? And if they do, which player do you think would be the most enjoyable to watch, either during the game or at a press conference, if they were able to indulge?
Well, my mind immediately goes to Kirby Joseph. If that man's high, I would love to see that because he's already funny as it is. And by the way, the whole Percy Harvin thing, I get what he's trying to say, and I'm an advocate for especially professional athletes using cannabis, especially for injuries and different things. There's a lot of pressure that comes with being a professional athlete, and I think across all sports that cannabis can help that. But playing every game high like that, okay, what are we doing?
It's fun.
No, dude, Percy Harvin, maybe you would have had 1,000 yards in your career if you weren't high.
Come on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That might have been out of pocket. I'll take that one back. But that's a little. It can't be something he's telling other people. Try it.
Maybe it is.
Imagine Amon-Ra St. Brown, just being high every game. Is that something? No. After the game, he may indulge.
Listen,
But I don't.
saying, I think it goes on a lot more than people realize. A lot more than people realize.
And by the way, no shot at Percy Harvin. I love Percy Harvin, but that was some shade thrown at him. Still Super Bowl champion, so I don't want to diss him too much. But I think giving that type of advice isn't probably ideal to the young guns, right? Saying, hey, yeah, I was high every game. Try it. Hell yeah.
You know what? I didn't think...
Although it seems like Justin Fields is high every game, but you know what? We don't know.
I mean, that is a fair shot right there. I didn't think I would have to do this during this segment, but do I have to defend Percy Harvin with my life at this point? You gave him a little too much shade. Minnesota Vikings Percy Harvin was one of the best skill position players in football.
I'm not trying. I don't want to come at him. I'm not Legend Killer. That is that man over there.
You had a flannel-esque take there.
Yeah, I did. And look at Dr. Clappencheeks.
Legend killer.
Yeah. Dr. Clappencheeks says, Jeff looks like he used to pay $100 a gram in high school. Why me? Hey, Dr. Clappencheeks, why me? All right? Damn, Dr. Clappencheeks.
Got an eighth for $3.50.
I thought me and Dr. Clappencheeks were we had something going on here. I thought he was cool with me, but I guess not. No, that is false. I was not out there spending $100 for a damn gram.
You always lie.
I got a deal.
No.
My slug loves me.
Oh, damn. Dr. Clapping Cheeks. Damn it. All right. What else you got for us, Lucas?
All right. So here's something that is troubling, too, and there's a couple reasons for it, but I'm trying to think. It was week 3. This was CBS Sports. They released their top 10 quarterbacks. And there's one of them that just still is dry. Oh, my God. There's actually, I just saw another one. Look at this list. Look at number 4 for one. And then look at number 8. And then look at number 9.
Okay, who's Cody Benjamin right now? Who is he?
You deserve to be locked up, sir. This is a crime. Look, I get Jordan Love has played good. But he's played against the Chicago Bears and Atlanta Falcons.
Okay. Cody Benjamin.
And he just lost to the Atlanta Falcons, too, by the way.
Cody Benjamin is an author and journalist based in Southeast in Minneapolis. So, of course, Kirk's 8th. But regardless, why the hell is Jordan Love 4th? Based on what? When they needed a field goal at the end of the game, you know what he did? He choked. You know what Jared Goff did? He drove down the field and got him a field goal.
Jordan Love literally was the only one that false started for the Packers offense on 4th and 1 to keep the game going.
Yep.
Damn. Yeah, that's, I mean.
How are you going to have Jordan Love behind or in front of Jalen Hurts?
But I guess this is through 2 weeks, and if he might be a stat, he might be a big stat guy. Because technically, Jordan Love has more touchdown passes.
Josh Allen played terrible statistically week 1.
Actually, that's fair. What the hell are we doing?
Justin Herbert's 0-2.
Yeah, that's bad.
That
I would rather have Baker Mayfield right now over Jordan Love.
All right, so,
I'll say it.
So, am I the only person in this room that has a major problem right now? And I praise this guy a lot. Brock Purdy at 3. It must be easy to do your job when Kyle Shanahan's your coach and Christian McCaffrey is leading the NFL in rushing by far, and they have that defense and everything. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle.
I kind of agree with Sam as well too. I think 3 is a little too high. Brock Purdy hasn't had to do anything. He's great, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't had to do much.
Dude, I mean, Jordan Love fell on the ass cheeks of his right guard. Pause. He did.
He did.
On 4th and 1.
On 4th and 1.
Quarter.
He took a shot on the halftime, so I mean, he was a little tipsy.
I mean, okay, well, that's true. He pulls a Marshawn Lynch.
Maybe he hit the dispo. He hit the Percy Harvin.
I mean, there you go. I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Would you guys put Purdy, just real quick, would you guys put Purdy top 10 at least?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Not
top 3.
Yeah, top 3 is ridiculous.
But I like Purdy. I do. I like Purdy. But top 3 right now is like.
You're not saying top 10 yet, Flannel?
I can't put him at top 10.
I don't think, because I could see where you're like, oh, he's playing really well, and you could say, oh, well, he's also in the best system in football. So I'm not going to hold either of you guys over. I was just curious on your guys' thoughts.
I mean, yeah. Again, I would put. I like Purdy, but again, statistically, he's not going to blow you away. So I get both arguments. I guess it's all preference.
But after that nauseating take, or nauseating list, I should say, we can get into some mailbags. See what the people got to say.
Let's do it. First, though, I got to hear about our friends over at Lady Jane's.
Oh, Lady Jane's, of course, where I get all of the finest haircuts, like the one I might be getting pretty soon. Come to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience. Register to win a trip of your dreams and all expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament. That's right, no expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests, for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
If you guys can hear me, then we can continue. But I'm not getting anything right now. Yeah.
Bro, what the fuck?
I mean, I'm seeing the stream right now.
Just keep it going until 10. Fuck it.
Are we live? We good?
Just in case we are, let's do it.
Oh,
Hey.
chic. Okay.
We are back. We are getting Doug back.
This is essential time for the chat.
Thanks everybody for sticking with us on that.
Let's get the mailbag. Jesus,
Let's just
man.
breathe. Let's just breathe.
I'm gonna. Speaking of Neil Rule, I'm gonna slap somebody. So that's how we're gonna do this. Let's get to some questions, and I'll start with the most relevant one. Mailbag: did Hollywood pay the Wi-Fi bill this month? I guess not. So regardless, we're back. Let's get to some questions here before the internet just took a shit. All right, let's see here. Before all the freak out, let's see. Okay, Steve says, mailbag, do we see more Jack Campbell this game? He's just behind Anzalone and Barnes in tackles with 8, that being done in less touches. Man, I hope so. I hope Jack Campbell, we see a lot more of him this week. I was advertised as Jack Campbell possibly being the best linebacker. I know you have enough depth in that room already, but man, I'm cool. The linebackers got cooked last week in coverage, so hopefully Jack Campbell can make a difference there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. As much as we love Brad Holmes and the draft overall, there's been a lot of very, very good returns, I would say. The reality is when you draft a running back at 12 and an off-ball linebacker at 18, if they don't produce at the level which you think they would, you're going to get questioned. It's still early on in the season. But yes, put Jack Campbell out there. He's the most talented linebacker you have on your team by far. Put him out there.
Yep, no question. Let's see. Mailbag, will Buggs and Broderick Martin be active Sunday? Should they be? Lucas, Big Dan Davis asked that. I appreciate you, Dan. But you kind of talked about it earlier. You expect Buggs to be more involved. You expect him to see the field this week. I would agree with you. And I think Broderick Martin is a maybe. I know people are like clamoring for Broderick Martin, but I don't know if he's like the savior of this defensive line. I think he's still a work in progress, but I get why they want to see him. I get that. But they've already been pretty solid against the run, and that's what his specialty is. So unless Broderick can get to the quarterback, he ain't going to be playing.
See, my problem with the whole Broderick Martin discourse so far is that there were people in the chat, maybe even hinted at it on this network, that maybe Broderick Martin in the 3rd round is going to be of similar value to Jalen Carter at 6.
Who said that?
That's not looking so good right now.
Whoever said that, man, you're at Dispo.
Do you remember who said that?
Was that Percy Harvin?
He held accountable.
Who said that?
There were some rumblings in the chat on a certain show that I used to be on quite often.
Who said that?
Nobody said that that's like a thing, but
I want some accountability with that statement.
But you know how it is with Neil Rule. Sometimes when you tell him what he wants to hear, he'll just be like, oh, I mean, he's the biggest Brad Holmes simp of them all, so he's kind of got the utmost faith. You know what I mean?
Did Neil say that?
Neil didn't say it explicitly, but there were some rumblings, and Neil didn't necessarily disagree.
Okay, I'll save that for Sunday. Let's see. Jesse Adams, mailbag. Can you ask Sam and Lucas if they know MSU is a top 15 program in terms of attendance, revenue in the country? They were acting like MSU was CMU yesterday. Elko would leave Duke.
All I was saying is there's a lot of things going on in East Lansing right now. And
Bring Urban Meyer!
If there's a premier coach who's been around for a while, he's already got to deal with the hype of him going to a program he's got to rebuild. He probably does not want all the attention. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Michigan State is just some wash of a program that has no program. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in 2023, I think there's a little bit more desirable locations to be than East Lansing.
Yeah.
Brandon Hassel says, mailbag, do you guys think the Lions must win 3 of the next 4 so the Lions can prove they aren't the team that starts 1-6 and the team that have won 9 of 12? Yeah, I mean, to your point, Brandon, you look at the next 3 games on their schedule. I mean, right now you got the Falcons at home, you travel to the Packers, and you welcome in the Panthers at home. Yeah, and then you go to the Bucs. Those are all winnable games. So I think 3 or 4 is actually reasonable.
I would say after their first 8 games, I believe their bye is after their 8th game. They've got to be 5-3 at worst, and I think that is very, very, very achievable.
Mm-hmm.
I think 5-3, they'll probably be first place in the division, and then go from there.
All right, let's see here. Let's get to some more questions. Mailbag team, WSN, who you got this week in Ohio State or Notre Dame? I think I have Ohio State winning, but I think Notre Dame could challenge them. I think that's a good game, especially now. New quarterback with Notre Dame. They're more of a threat. And I give Ohio State credit for traveling to South Bend. I'm going to keep saying that. That's a tough game early in the schedule, and they will be better leaving that game. They will be. It's good. They're going to get battle tested.
I mean, after Notre Dame beats them, because that's what's going to happen. Notre Dame's winning that game.
All right.
Notre Dame's winning. Notre Dame.
Wow,
winning that game.
You guys are on Notre Dame.
Ohio, I don't care how their quarterback situation looks right now. Sam Hartman is going to expose that secondary. I think TreVeyon Henderson, if he has to go off for them to win this game. I understand they have Marvin Harrison and they have Ibuka, but when you have Sam Hartman and you got then Kyle McCord and Devin Brown against them, that takes in a factor. Ryan Day's a joke of a head coach for Ohio State standards. And yeah, I think Ohio State goes in there and they get smacked around. Probably like a 10-point Notre Dame win, if I had to guess.
Look at this. Kalamazoo says, mailbag, why does Neil constantly call Jeff a bitch? I mean, that's a good question, Kalamazoo. I don't know. I've been nothing but friendly to Neil, and I get it. Neil's gonna tease me. I look up to Neil.
Jeff Iafrate's a bitch.
He's one of my mentors, but Neil, it does feel that way for whatever reason. But you know what? At the end of the day, this Sunday we will resolve all of our differences, and we'll be face to face here in the studio doing the pregame show. So you can't hide, Neil. All right, and I can't either. We'll be on the desk.
Jeff, I don't think Neil's hiding because he's to your left.
Well, Neil, you're a bitch. How about that?
Ooh.
Neil, tell Neil Rule I called him a bitch back. How about that? Let him know.
Are you gonna slap him like the bitch he is?
Hey, listen, I don't need to slap him. All right, that's his prerogative. If he wants to use hands, that's fine. But I'm just calling you a bitch back. I may not have.
Right here.
Hey, hold on.
Oh, we have.
He's right here.
I may not have a lot of ground to stand on because I did run from a beat. But regardless, if Neil Rule wants to smoke, I'm all here for it, Neil Rule. Wait, go to your cam. Go to your cam. Go to your cam, Lucas. I want to see. Let the people see Neil. Look at. Hey, Neil Rule. This is a bitch. I'll see you Sunday, Neil. Sunday, baby. Sunday.
Oh my God, this is amazing. This is the best day of my life.
All right. Look at Chuck Brewer says Neil is just keeping you grounded, Jeff. I know. That's why I love Neil, man. He's really a pro. That'll do it for the show today. Appreciate you guys for joining us, for being patient through all the BS. Until tomorrow, we'll have a packed show planned for you guys. We'll be at Dispo and Romeo, previewing the Lions game, previewing college football, previewing the NFL, and much more. What time is Jeff's funeral? Nobody asked. It's a good question. We'll find out on Sunday. Appreciate everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.